All right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, everybody. We are back here in studio. Welcome to the Kuwoo movement. Welcome to our conversation here today. It's another beautiful day. We're going to be chatting. Today, I got two people with me. My name is Leo Nupolu Johnson here. Before I get started, I'm wearing a special sweater. You see, it says Smile Cookies. So if you're in Canada, you can purchase Smile Cookies. $1 per cookie at any Tim Hortons. It goes to support Empowerment Squared 100%. So I'm sporting my Smile Cookies sweater today. But let's get to today's business quickly. Those that we have on here with us, Lemuel is with us in studio, and one of our panelists is with us online. So we'll go to Lemuel quickly to introduce himself and give his opening statement, and then we will go to our next panelist online as well.
Johnson.
And maybe you guys need to appeal to him today to speak up loud so you guys can hear him, because he usually has a way of not speaking aloud. So hopefully that's so we can get him to talk today. Khadija is online. Can we check and see with Khadija? So Khadija,
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Can you hear us? Super.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you introduce yourself? Tell us what's on your mind. Give us your opening statement, and then we can run right into it.
Hi, I'm Khadija Fode, and just grateful to be alive on this beautiful day.
Okay, so today it's a bit surprise. It's going to be open-ended. We will be talking about the transition from youth to young adult, or from youth to adult, whatever way you want to call it. What does that transition look like? Because apparently the age of majority is called the age of 18, especially in the context of Canada, but in most places around the world. When you reach 18, it is assumed that you've turned to an adult. And you wonder, does it mean that you just switch on a flick, or flick on a switch, once you're 18, you turn on the switch, boom, you're adult. And then now all the adult things, you know it, you can go out there, you can do anything. As we all know, it doesn't happen that way, and there is really no, what I would describe in our society, there has been no proper way of supporting how people transition from a young person to an adult. In fact, in most cases, especially in African communities, it is assumed you just figure it out as you go along. You just start doing things. And sometimes parents got all kinds of expectations, and the community got all kinds of expectations of young people. So today we'll be talking about that. Khadija, since you're online, we'll start with you. What is the most shocking thing? What surprised you the most? What shocked you the most? And I know most young people who are under the age of 18 can be looking so forward to turning 18. All of the things that they've thought about in their head. So Khadija, what surprised you the most, right, about hitting the age of majority, where they're like, oh, you're now a young adult or whatever that is? What surprised you the most?
To be honest, in an African home, you're never really an adult. They don't see you as an adult, so it's mostly like a Western thing. But I would say for me, it's like paying for my own things. I find it so hard. Even though I have a job, but I felt like my money is my money. I shouldn't be allowed to pay for anything. When I was a kid, I didn't have to do all of that. Even though my uncles and aunties would give me money, but I didn't have to spend it on like needs. Now, if I don't have anything, I have to find a way to get it because it's a part of responsibility. So I said the whole part of being responsible. Yes, our parents kind of teach us, but I feel like it's something we have to learn on our own in order to make it through. Because nowadays with the economy, everything is like going fast. Like the money rate is too high, and also like job, especially in Canada, it's kind of hard to find a job unless you have connections. So I would say like that was one of the things I struggle with. And especially also being in school, having to balance school and work was really tough for me.
Okay, so while you are at it, that was one piece. But just for yourself, I would say for your own self, in terms of how you see your self development. When you're in high school, it's a different kind of life, right? It's pretty predictable. You go to school every
Yes.
week, you do your homework, you know what you got to do. So that's pretty predictable. But what did that also look like? I would like say life after high school. What when you look back now, when you think, what are some of the things you could have done differently? And knowing what you know now
Mm.
and looking back, are there some of the things you can reflect on to be like, if I had known why I was in high school, I would do this differently, I would approach this differently, and then we can go to that meal.
I would say like trying to figure out a schedule, having a calendar to set my week or a day or even month. Planning, just having a planner was very, I feel like it would have been helpful back then. Now that I know, like knowing that I could have started at a younger age, it would have been easier being organized at this age. Because growing, like, as I felt like as I got older, it was kind of hard to learn how to be organized if I since I didn't start at a young age. So I said organization was, I'm gonna say organization is one of them. And also like the people around you, like friends wise, having the right friend group also plays a lot of role. Because my friends, we used to go to the YMCA sometimes, or like we just go to the mall to joke around. But I feel like if I had started doing a lot more other things, like joining into other groups, I was part of bunch of like sports teams. But I feel like if I had volunteered more, I would have more. I would have networked more with other people, and it would have helped me to this day.
Okay. No, thank you. And those of you who are watching, welcome. Those of you who are watching us, please share your comments, share your questions as we go along. We will take them. Lemuel, let's come to you. What do you find for you? You're still under the age of 18, so you're looking forward to getting to that point. Uh, what do you think of that? Getting to the point where you hit the age of maturity, and it's expected that you're now in Canada legally. There's a lot of things you can now do when you're 18, but what do you think of it based on where you are now? Hearing someone like Adija who's crossed that age of 18 and while you're still under the age of 18, what are your thoughts generally?
Well, I don't know. I don't think much really changes like right away. I feel like it all comes like gradually. It's,
You know, you speak louder, you come closer to the microphone because I can even hardly hear you and myself. Yeah.
but I'm not sure. Like I don't really think it changes much. Or like at least right away. I feel like it just all comes gradually.
How much do you know? Let's say, because usually it looks like it's so far away, but it's not far away. How much do you know in terms of, let's say, you're about to turn 18. What are some of the things that you think are important to start thinking about now before you hit that age? Or let's say before you leave high school, because usually that's the age you're leaving high school as well. So what are some of the things that you think are very important or that you think you might need to look at before leaving high school?
Like having a plan or setting goals to reach for when you leave high school.
Okay. What are some of the goals for yourself personally? What are there any goals that you've thought about? Are there any ideas that you've thought about for yourself?
I mean, I'd like to go to post secondary.
Post secondary, so anything, university, college, or whatever. So, if you work your way back, or what is one thing you would like to see? Let me put it that way. In terms of for you, yourself, whether it's from yourself, your parents, your family, what is one thing you would like to see in terms of that transition, or what is one type of support you would like to get?
Like, what do you mean by that?
So you're going through this transition, you'd like to go to post-secondary. Is there anything you think you would like if someone say, I want to support you? If someone say, I want to, support you so that our joining is successful, whatever your goals and your plans are, what would be the top one thing, or it could be more than one, but what are some of the things that you really wish you can get support with?
Probably financially.
Financially. Why do you think financial is so important?
I mean, like going to school, like having to do this for yourself or buy this for yourself, and like just being able to get like all your needs is like expensive. So
yeah, okay, I'll come back to you. So Khadija, point of advice, since you are already above the age of 18, when you're speaking to them, what are some of the pieces of advice that will be important that you'd like to share based on your experience, right? It could be different for different people, so let's make that clear. But based on your experience, if somebody who's 16 or 15 or 14 or 17 would have been like, Khadija, I need some advice, and what does it look like?
Yeah.
What should I pay attention to based on your experience? What would be some of the pieces of advice you offer?
Like I'm just gonna add on what Lemmy was saying about finance. Learn how to budget, because if you start at a young age, you can build that up. Because if you don't know how to budget or save at a young age, you're just gonna overspend your money, or you're just gonna use it for random things. So I would say learning how to budget taking care of your health is a really good thing. Like sleep schedule. I know when you're going to post secondary, it's kind of hard to balance your sleep schedule, but trying to maintain that sleep schedule balance and time management. Time management is also one of the big ones. And also like the people around you also play a really important role. Having friends that align with where you want to go, how you want to go with your future is also a really good thing because the people you have around you with the same mindset will also help you to elevate your future as well. And having self-discipline. So sometimes like if you have school with people going to school, if you're in college and there's a party, you have to decide like all my friends are going to the party. Do I want to go to the party or do I want to stay home and study? And also like your like I said, health and your emotions, like trying to regulate your emotions, being more emotionally responsible. And I would just say working on how to be responsible for yourself and taking care of your mental health, your health in general, and learn how to balance work, school, or if you're playing sports as well.
Can you tell me a little bit when you say the emotional piece, learning how to manage your emotions? Can you go a little bit into that? Tell me a little more. Give me some more examples. Let me see what you're talking about there.
Yeah, so in Africa, our African parents don't believe in such thing as depression or like mental health. So I would say trying to like because a lot of colleges and universities do have programs set out for students who are going through those type of things. So I'll say if you notice like your mood is changing, or if you notice like, oh, you used to do this, now you're not doing it anymore, you're just falling into a place that you can't get out of, you're trapped. I would say reach out for help. Asking for help is not, it's not, I know it's hard to ask for help, but the number one thing you have to do is ask. You might get help from someone else in school. If you don't feel comfortable asking at home, you can get help from your own family members. So I'll say like trying to get in that mental, like the right mindset is also really good for you if you're in school and like if you're trying to transition to being an adult, because at that time you're like if you're going through financial stress, it can really harm you if you're in school because you can't focus on what you want to do. You're in school but you're also thinking about that. It can also build up to ruin your mental health, and also you can struggle with things like that.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, but let me hear in Khadija, right? In your experience, what's your reaction? What do you think? Some of the things that she's listing in her, again, it could be different for different people because situations sometimes are never the same. Some people are stronger in one area, others are stronger in other areas. But you are living that now. You are in that stage of your life as it is. What do you think? What's your reaction? The way she's talking about, it's better to start early paying attention to your mental health. It's better to start early thinking about discipline. It's better to start early thinking about, I'll call it financial education and financial literacy, because sometimes it's not about having or not having money. It's about just understanding how money works. Because if you understand how money works, it helps you a long way in making it, saving it. But what's your reaction to some of the things that Khadijah's talking about in her experience?
I mean, like, I agree. It is a good thing to start early with anything you do in life. It just like helps you build like habits, like good habits along the way.
But what do you think, for example, specifically? She talked about things like mental health. What's your reaction? Let's be very specific. Have you experienced, or in your experience, do you have friends or people you've seen at school that, or yourself, that deal with these experiences, things like mental health? Like Khadijah said, most African parents, we don't understand what that is. Like, it's not like we don't have empathy, but maybe parents don't understand what it is. Maybe they just don't know, so there's no way they're able to react to it. So, what do you think? Is this something that's real, as you see it in school, and how is it playing out?
I mean, like, everybody has to deal with their own things, so I feel like seeking help to get that straight if you need it would like help you in the long run.
But in your opinion, is it an issue? Do you think it's an issue?
Yeah, depending on who you are.
Yeah, no, in general, in school. I'm asking this one in general. Based on what you know, since you're still in high school, do you think the issue of mental health, for example, whether it's depression, whether it's stress, whatever it is, do you think it's an issue?
Yeah.
And what are some of the ways that you've seen it play out? If you think it's an issue, or at least that you've heard about it or experienced it or whatever, how does it play out? whether it's mental health or depression or whatever, what are some of the practical ways that you may have seen it play out either with a friend or maybe yourself has experienced it? How do you see it play out?
I don't know, like a lot of stress building up, whether it's from something happening at home or something happening at school or like.
And how do you express it? How do people express it? Because that's where the problem is. When people are stressed or it's a mental health situation, whether it's from home or school or any other external, how do you express it in your experience? Or how is it expressed? You know, do young people get angry? Do they get isolated? What do they do?
I don't know. Everybody expresses themselves in different
So
ways.
in your case, how do you express it? If you find yourself stressed or depressed or whatever, or if you've ever been in that situation, how do you find yourself expressing it?
I don't know. I don't think I've really done anything.
You don't think what?
I've really done anything.
No, I'm saying, so you've never been stressed?
I didn't say that. I just said.
So how do you react? How do you react when you're stressed? When you find yourself stressed, how do you react?
I don't know. I just forget about the situation.
Is it possible when you're stressed to forget about it? First of all, if you forget about it, then why did you become stressed in the first place? You should have just let it go. So, are you telling me that if you get stressed by something, you can just forget about it? Is that...
I mean, you asked me on what's it called?
If you're
How?
stressed, if you ever find yourself stressed, how do you react?
You asked me on how I would react, and it's
Is that what?
like I just said, I would forget about the situation.
So my question is, though, is it possible? Or you just saying it? Because at the point of the whole show with people listening, trying to learn, it's not valuable for them. If what you're saying, is it possible? If something stresses you, you're just going to be like, I forget it. I'm not stressed anymore.
I mean, like, you push it to the side. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but like,
Oh, so you're saying, so that means you don't forget about it. You're saying you don't express it, right? Or you hold it in, you don't make an expression or whatever that is. You don't, expressing it could be how do you act? How do you, when you're stressed, how do you behave? When you're stressed, what do you do? That's what I mean when I say expressing. Or you just bury it in, you don't say anything, you don't do anything. That's not a way, that's how some people cope with it. Is that how you cope? Is that how you cope with your stress?
I don't know, like,
Do you ever remember a time that you were stressed?
yeah.
And how did you act?
I don't think I acted any differently from how I normally do.
Okay, so that means you bottle it inside. Because you don't want to agree that you bottle it inside, but you don't want to agree that you act anyway, but you don't want to agree that you, so where do you put it? Where does it go when you're stressed?
I didn't say anything. I just said I don't do anything about it.
Yeah, so that means inside of you though, but you're stressed, right? You don't do anything when you're stressed. So can you agree that you bottle it inside?
Okay.
I'm not saying to you say, okay, I want to know if it makes sense to you.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so let me ask you the question directly. What advice would you give to parents who have kids that are under the age of 18 and that want to support their kids through their journey or whatever, and deal with some of these things? Be it stress, be it depression, be it mental health, be it financial literacy, be it saving money for college or university, be it working to go to post-secondary. What would you like to tell, especially African parents, because our understanding of these things are different? What piece of advice or what would you like to say to parents if they were listening to you right now?
No, just have an open mind.
Okay, what does that mean, open mind? My mind is open, but if my daughter or son, if my son comes home with a hair tied around his head, I might lose it, even though my mind is open. So what do you mean when you say an open mind?
Like the ability to understand stuff that you might not like agree with.
And how do you go about doing that? How do you go about understanding stuff you don't agree with?
I mean, you got to bring it up and then try and listen to the other person's perspective on the whatever. Like,
so let's take a very particular one in that case. You say you want to go to post-secondary. What does that mean? How can your parents help you or support you?
like making sure you're like on top of your stuff at like during high school, staying organized, or like just being like of just making sure you're doing your stuff in high school.
What stuff? I want you to tell me specifically, because if you say you want to work to go to post-secondary, and that's what you want to do, you said that, what do you think you need to do for that goal to be successful, or for you to be successful at that goal?
But discipline.
Discipline, okay. And when you say discipline, what do you do to be disciplined? How do you show your discipline?
I mean, you gotta build habits and like understand what you're trying to do. Because if you don't understand where you're trying to go, you're not gonna like.
You're not going to, I think at the end of that sentence.
Like if you don't understand like what you're trying to do or where you're trying to go, you're not gonna be like you're not gonna be 100% like. I'm not sure how to put it.
You're not going to be 100% like what? I want to get the end of the sentence because people are watching and they're trying to understand. They're literally commenting that they're trying to understand. So you want to go to post-secondary in your head. You set as a goal. If somebody showed up and said, I want to help you, I want to support you go to post-secondary, what would you tell them to do? Like the person say, how can I help you? What would you tell them? Somebody
Like-
show up and say, anything, tell me I want to support you to go to post-secondary. Since you want to go, I want to be able to support you. What can I do to support you? Let me, what would you tell them?
I'd ask for help with tuition.
Tuition to post-secondary, okay. That's one thing. Money is important to get there, that's one. What else do you think? Is there anything else you can think about? That right now, you're in grade 11 and you want to get the post-secondary and somebody said, what can I do to help you? Because even with the tuition, you just got to keep it. You can use it now until maybe 2 years later. But the person's like, I'm here now, I want to help. What can I do?
I don't know. It's pretty vague. Like, who is that person to me? I don't like.
It doesn't matter who they are. They could just show up. They want to do anything that you ask for, period. They don't even care. They're just like, any help, any support you need right now, I'm here, I'm ready to. Can you tell me, what can I do to help you?
I'm not sure what I'd say to that person.
So that means you don't need any help to go to post-secondary, in essence. You're good. You got everything lined up to go to post-secondary.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that's like a.
So how do you know that you're not good to go to, you don't have everything to go to post-secondary when you don't know if somebody asks you? So that means that's your first assignment. So you've never even thought through yet what you need to go to post-secondary. Because if somebody show up and say, I want to help you, and you haven't thought it through yet. So the first assignment we're figuring out for young people yourself is like, if you want to go to post-secondary, what is it you need? What kind of help that you actually need or so? We can come back to you, but Khadija, given that you've gone through this experience right now, and who knows, maybe when you were at the same stage that Lemuel was at, maybe that was the same challenge, right? How do you think about this? How do you not think about it? Maybe that's a challenge that young people face as well. I don't know. But what will you say to young people right now who are preparing for that, wanting to go to post-secondary? What would you say to African parents? What can they do to make sure they're effectively supporting their children?
I would say for them to, like Lemia was saying, to add on being open-minded, being, because most parents, they don't understand, like kids, they notice things. So being emotionally available for your children is also very helpful. And having open-ended conversation with your kids. I understand like it's hard for some parents to just like listen to their kids, but just listening sometimes is very helpful. Parents love giving advice, but sometimes all your child wants is for you to just listen instead of just being there. So your presence is enough sometimes. Just being there and just hearing them go on about things, even if it doesn't make sense at the time, but just them knowing that you're there to support whatever they're thinking is very helpful as well. And like you don't, like parents don't have to pretend like everything is okay. Also, they should be vulnerable with their kids as well, because like we also want to learn how to regulate our emotions as well. So being able to like be open with your kids is also very helpful. Like, oh, like when I was growing up too, I also struggle with this. So your kids can know like, oh, at least I'm not going through this by myself. At least my mom went through this as well when she was a kid. And don't isolate yourself. Seek help. As if you need help, your child can help you. One thing I learned between me and my mom, usually some when I was younger, I didn't really speak to my mom a lot, but growing up, I felt like My whatever I tell her also helps her, and whatever she tells me help me as well. And focus on what you can control. We cannot control everything in this world. So the little things that you can control, focus on that. If you know your parents will be willing to listen to you, at least you have control over your parents listening to you. Not everybody parents have the strength or even the capability to listen to them. So having that is also very, very good. And teach resilience. So in a way, like show your kids face to face, have time, have a one-on-one conversation with them, take them out, spend time with your kids because when they get older, it's gonna be kind of hard because they're all still trying to figure out how to maneuver in life. So I would say having that one-on-one time with them also is very, very helpful. And for the kids as well, try not to rush. I know we're all trying to get everything figured out, but also taking our time to figure it out is very helpful too. Not because we don't because our friend is doing it or our family member is doing that doesn't mean we have to do it. Everybody learn at a different pace, and life just come at you sometimes. Sometimes life is handed to you, so having that patience is very helpful too.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go to one interesting one for our last segment here, and that is relationship, right? In the African community, especially, that conversation is never held. But even though we know when young people get to the teenage era, they're already engaging in relationships, they're having conversation, they're talking about it with their friends. It's a natural human evolution, right? That's not something anybody needs to lie about. But for some reason, even for us African parents in the diaspora that live here, that's a conversation most of the time we find out by mistake. Like we we actually just find out that, oh, your daughter or your son is in a relationship with somebody else because they would have never had the bravery or whatever that is. So it's not a conversation we ever have. In fact, I'll tell you, I don't know how many African parents even talk to their teenagers and children to start to tell them their experiences in relationship or start to let them know what are some of the things out there they will start to face. And if they're interested in having a relationship with someone or whatever, how do you go about it? If you're young, let's be honest, African parents don't talk about this stuff, whether you like it or not. We all grew up. It's a natural evolution. You would get to that stage in life that, but we pretend like, we're just not talking about it. We're just happen somehow one day and then we would just get to actually know. And most of the time, our children get into all kinds of mistakes, make all kinds of grave errors in the process because they didn't even know. And then worst of all, they start to hide it because they are afraid that maybe if their parents find out whatever, they would just lose it. And truthfully so. Many times, we African parents, we lost it. It's not easy to accept, even though we know it's inevitable, instead of guiding them through. So I want to ask you, Khadija, we'll come to Lemuel because that high school age also, that's when if you're not talking about it, your friends are talking about it. If your friends are not, it's the conversation cycle that goes on from that high school stage all the way to university, to college, to post-secondary. Like you said, Khadija, in an African home, you can be 25 and they still be thinking you're 13. Right? And myself, I'm trying to discipline myself about that, to just know that, you know what? No, this person is growing, they're maturing, they're an adult. To think about it, how you approach it, how you don't approach it. It's not an easy thing in an African parent mind, so you got to be conscious of it. So I want to ask you, Khadija, if you want to speak about your experience, you're open to, that's up to you. But if you want to talk to parents, African parents a lot, but I want to understand, what's the psyche of young people about relationships, especially, let's say, between 15, 16, and, going up, when that conversation starts to emerge. What's the psyche of young people? What's going on in that world? Because for us, the African parents, we almost never allow ourselves to go into that world, so we are completely uneducated and oblivious about it.
I would say it is very tough with African parents because they find it disrespectful at such young age coming to them and be like, oh, this my boyfriend. Even like older age, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, this my boyfriend or this my girlfriend. They find it very disrespectful. So I think it's like a cultural thing. So like I understand what me and my friends always talk about. The more strict the parents, the more sneaky the kids. So I feel like building
Ah,
that.
can I quote you? Can I quote you on that one? That's a new quote I'm going to take. The stricter the parents, the sneakier the kids. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the more strict the parents, the sneakier the kids are.
Yeah.
So I feel like building that relationship with your kids, starting young, starting at such a young age is also very helpful. Start talking to them about it. Like I remember my mom, she always tell me like when I was younger, this, like, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna stop you from doing it, or I'm not gonna tell you you can never do it, because if I tell you you're not gonna do it, you're still gonna go behind my back and do it.
Exactly.
So I'm just gonna give you advice on it. Like, if you're doing this, make sure you don't do this, make sure you don't do that. Just try talking to them at such young age, like tell them what's right from wrong, especially in a relationship. Making sure like they know their needs. Telling them like, if you're getting a relationship with this person, this is what you're gonna like. This is what you make sure this is happening in the relationship. If you don't like it, get away from it. If you have a trusted friend, not because some friends they'll tell you the wrong thing. Some friends will tell you straight to your face, like, yo, you shouldn't be doing this, or like, you shouldn't be doing that. So finding that balance with your parents and your friend, your as a parent, speak to your kids at some young age, giving them advice, because when our parents are young too, we don't know what they were doing, or we're doing fettuccine. So at
Exactly.
least like so like being honest with them. You don't have to tell them your experience when you're young, but just from your experience as a from a young parent, just tell them like, I know you're gonna get involved in it, but this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. And if you know you don't if you feel comfortable coming to me and asking me for help with somebody, I won't judge you. I will listen to you. If I have a good advice, I'll give it to you. Just reassure them that you're not gonna be too hard on them. Reassure them that you're gonna be there to give them advice, or they'll find someone in the community, or someone in like their friend group that they feel trust that they can trust to have that conversation with, that will give them advice on it. But as a parent, be more open-minded. Try to start at a younger age to talk to them, not like when they're in their 15, 16, but like 17, 18. Their friends are probably going to be involved in it, especially now the internet is there, everybody's talking to everyone. So at a young age, just start speaking to them earlier to tell them like, I know this is bound to happen at one point, but when it's happening, you should do this, you should do that. Like, protect yourself.
So you made an important point, but before I go to Lemuel on this piece, how do we break this deadlock of young people like yourself, especially from African homes? I will narrow it down to even Liberian homes. How do we get into this world of our kids being comfortable to say, a boy say he's interested in me, right? Or your son telling you, uh, I have a girlfriend, or I will like, like, how do we break that deadlock of making that conversation happen? Because in my experience, and I may be wrong, correct me, that conversation almost is impossible.
It is. It is
So,
very. It's not. It's hard. It's hard.
any advice? How do we break into that? How do we break into that? Because I believe if you don't break into that, that's the first step, right? That your daughter can be comfortable to come home and say, a boy talked to me today, or he's interested
Mhm.
in me, or I'm interested in him, and talk about what does that mean with that parent. Or your son can come to you and say, there's a girl I'm interested in, or whatever however to say it. Because for me, that is the root of it all. Because then that opens up, the airways to say, that's interesting. Let's talk about it. Do you know about relationships? And what do you understand? What does that mean? Why are you interested in a person? And, if you're interested, why are you interested in a person? And what types of relationship is the person asking you for? And look, all of those things that may sound very simple can be complicated. But how do we break into that?
I would say same as going back to the conversation piece, right? Like, making sure you're comfortable in talking to your kids, and your kids are comfortable. The comfortability part is very important, because you can't expect your child to come talk to you if you're the type of parent who yells at your kids, or always have like something negative to say, especially when they come to you asking for advice. It will be hard for them to come to you to even tell you something that simple. They will think, oh, my dad is gonna think this, or my mom is not gonna accept it. So having that, trying to build a relationship with them, it's hard, because if you don't start at a young age, imagine if it's, oh, can you hear me now? Sorry.
Okay, yeah, we got you back. We got
All
your
right.
audio back.
If it doesn't start at a young age, it will be hard to maintain it when they're getting older. So I would say just asking them questions like, you don't got to tell me everything, but just in case, if a girl is trying to talk to you, or a guy is trying to talk to you, just let me know. I can help, because when I was younger, it happened to me. Just giving them the reassurance, like asking them. My mom, what she does is, when we're younger, she used to have like family meetings every Sunday. She always be like, "This is the one time you can tell me everything. I won't get mad at you." Like, she makes she makes us feel comfortable in the way of like trying to be open to her. She's like,
Yeah.
even if it's bad, at least tell me, because I'm a parent. I'm a parent. I'm not gonna go and tell your business out to the world. At least if you let me know instead of me finding out through other people. If other people find out, they'll be able to tell other people. But if you tell me as a parent, I can protect your secret. So I think that's one thing that really helped me, because my mom was like, if you tell me whatever happens in our house, stay in our house. Unless you're the one who will tell us, who will tell an outsider. But if whatever happened in our house stays in our house. So if you tell me something and you don't even want me to tell your dad, I won't tell your dad. We can have that little confidential thing. Yes, we have our little arguments here and there, but when it's something, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, please don't tell my dad. Like, I want to tell you this. I'm trying to, you know." But with that, it was harder for me. Even when I was younger, it was kind of hard for me to tell my mom things. It
Yeah.
was until I got older, she was like, you gotta be." She gets mad. She's like, "You don't tell me anything. You don't tell me anything." And I'm like, "I can't tell you something because when I tell you something, you get mad at me, or like, I know how you're gonna respond to it." She's like, "You can't predict how I'm gonna respond." And then I tell her like, "I knew how you're responding to it before."
Yeah.
So like I already predicted how she's gonna respond. So it was kind of hard for me too. I had to learn like, if I don't ask, I'm not gonna get the response. If I
Yeah.
think I know the response, it's gonna be harder for me to even ask. So I had to also learn that myself. It's not all about the parents, it's also with the kids. Like, you can't expect your parents to know everything because they're still learning. Parents are learning also, you know. So I say like, also talking to your parents, and the parents should be more like relaxed and trying to build that relationship with their kids.
So rule number one, make a commitment that you'll not get angry. That's what I
Yes.
heard from you. Rule number one, commit to them because I can understand. That's where the fear probably comes from also, that you will get angry. So if you can commit to them and say, no matter what the situation is, I will not get angry, and follow through on it. Don't just say
Yeah.
it. And then when they say it, you flip. And then you say, I will not get angry, but here you are blowing up steam. So control yourself. Even if it gets to you, go get a glass of water, take a deep breath, and sit down back and have the conversation before you actually lose it. Let me know. Have girls started hitting on you yet? Let me ask. He's a pretty handsome boy at school, by the way. Just so you know, he's a big deal at Cathedral. When I go there,
Yeah.
I would be standing up, come to me. Oh, are you Lemuel's dad? Oh, really, 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 really nice to meet you, sir. And blah blah blah. Like,
Ladies man.
so I know that because I know girls do talk to me. Some of the girls that do this, like, whoa, Lemuel is. So just so you know, I do hear little things here and there, like in the airwaves when I talk to people around. So I already know. You probably wouldn't know. One day I drove behind you, by the way. You were walking home on Queen Street, and pretty beautiful young girl. You guys were walking together. The conversation was really heated because I could see you guys chatting. I made myself discreet because I didn't want to interrupt, because how you seeing me, I could just, when you see your parents, by the way, I used to be like that. When I'm coming from school, walking, if I just see my parents, even if they don't do anything, but just the fact that I saw them, my entire demeanor, I could just be like, I'm not myself. Just the fact that I saw them. Also, so let me ask you, you haven't answered my question. Girls hitting on you yet? Are you hitting on girls yet? And if so, what's your experience? Hey, you don't have to say it here publicly. You can choose to answer the question or not answer the question. But I've heard girls talk about you and the way they talk about you. So, I mean, apparently you play basketball too. It's a cool, hip thing when you play basketball as well. So, tell me, I don't know how come I got a son that's more handsome than me, but you can judge that for yourself.
I think it's from your wife. I think it's from your wife.
Okay, if you say so. But let me tell us, relationships, you are at that stage right now. That conversation is probably one of the hottest conversations at this stage. I didn't say it. Your peers and your friends, according to them, that conversation is going on right now. Girls, which girls, guys, they like, which girls they don't like, which guys they like, which guys they don't like. So what has your experience been? And for you, will you ever, I'm going to put you in the spot here, will you ever be confident to come to your parents and say, any one of them, both of them, or one of them, or whatever, because sometimes you guys choose which parent you can talk to about what. There's always that strategy. You know which parent is more open to something and which parent is not. But will you ever feel confident to come to your parents and ask them and talk to them about something like this? It doesn't have to be because you're seeing a girl. It could just be intriguing things in your head about relationships in general. So, and if not, what will help? What will help change that you feel comfortable doing that?
I don't know. Just for me, it's like maybe like over time. Like I feel like for me, to bring it
I
up.
don't know why you're not speaking loud. Wait.
For
People online are watching and they can hardly hear you. So can you try your best and speak up, please? I know you got a loud voice. I've seen you before. So can you try?
I feel like I'd like it'd be something I'd have to say, or like something I'd have to tell you about before.
But I want to know what would make you willing. Let's assume that you didn't just say it because you know your mom will get upset or your dad will get upset, so you're saying it just so that they don't get upset. If something what would make you like willing of your own volition, nobody push you, or you just had a question about this thing, and you're like, I need to talk to someone who understands this rather than go Google it, or rather than just Google it, because I always say Google has a caveat. Google is some other experience also that it posted. So what do you think needs to happen for you to feel comfortable about it?
I don't know, like just like over time building more of a relationship with your parents, but it's also about like it's not like your parent could be like open or like they wouldn't get mad about something. It's also like it's not 100% on the parent. It's like also how the kid is and how comfortable he feels, even if his parents are making him feel comfortable about this and that. But like it's just about how comfortable he is about speaking about it, and it obviously comes with time, but.
So what if it's about a question? Because the thing is, relationship is something you haven't been doing before. All of a sudden, you get out of stage and like, what is happening? All kinds of questions come up. What makes sense? What doesn't make sense? What is safe? So many of you feel comfortable talking to your friends. You share stuff with your friends most of the time. And actually, the biggest influence on you at this stage are your friends. They're not even your parents. They are actually your friends. The greatest influence, because they tell you guys stuff, actually to the point where sometimes you feel if you don't do what they tell you, it feels like you're not part of the crew, you're letting the crew down. So there's a lot of pressure. Not just you guys, even as adults, as parents. Our friends are probably the greatest influence on us. The people we hang out with, they have a way of making us do stuff, especially with relationships. Most of the time when we have questions, we shouldn't lie. As adults, we go and ask our friends at times. But a smart adult will ask a friend that is experienced or know a lot about this, rather than somebody who themselves are struggling with the same thing. So the question I'm going to ask you, and you hinted on it a little bit, you're right. It's a two-way street. Just because your parent made you feel comfortable doesn't mean you're someone comfortable with sharing that stuff. There are some people in general who are very secretive, even adults. They don't, share their stuff with any other person or so, with anybody for whatever reasons known to them. So the question I'm asking to you is, as you are venturing into new things when it comes to relationship, whether it's from you or it's coming from another person, how do you educate yourself based on your parents' experience? Or how do you get comfortable to even talk to them about it or so? Sometimes not because they know about it, but sometimes because they can too start to learn. Because there might be things you will learn that during my time was not even around, that I might have to actually learn as well. But if you don't share that with me, let me tell you guys what hurts us about as adults. It's for us to go find stuff out that you didn't tell us. We freaked out right away because we're like, oh my God, that means there's a lot more going on than this that I don't know of. Even if there is nothing else, if that's just it, we just freak out because we're like, how come he didn't tell me? How come she didn't tell me? Now I know about it. What else is going on? And we start to lose it. How do we solve that? Or how do you suggest we deal with that as parents? When your child will not tell you something, you don't know about it, something like relationships particularly, and you come and find out, but because in our heads we also have our picture of who a good person is and who a bad person is, right? We do, all of us. So your parents might see you hanging out with a girl or with a guy, or a girl or whatever that is, and then you go like, no, this is not good. This person doesn't look okay. This person has no parental discipline. They don't have any oversight, so I don't think this is good for my son. I'm not here to say if it is true or, good or bad or true or whatever. My question to you is, how do you help your parents, or what can your parents do? Because like you say, it's a two-way street, to hopefully over time help this conversation to start happening. Where do we start? What is a good place to actually start?
Well, like as your kids growing up, being able to have conversations with them, because it's easier when they're younger, at least to make them talk or make them feel comfortable talking to you about it. So if they're already growing up, talking to you about this or that, even if it's just about them playing at the park, right? It just becomes a natural thing over time.
So how young should you start, do you think?
I feel like you should start like as soon as they're able to hold a conversation.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. So probably closer to teenage, closer to that, let's say around 12, like 11, 12 or so.
Yeah, like maybe even like younger than that. Just talking to your kid at any age is beneficial.
Okay. And for parents listening, because someone just posted a very great question. For parents who may not have had this education, for example, right? Who may not have had this experience, and now they're realizing it, that maybe the approach that they have been using is part of the problem, but maybe their child is already 18, or their child is already 17. What would you say? What do they do? And, to at least start to behave or start to approach it better than maybe what they were used to doing.
But you gotta have a conversation about it with an open mind and like just go to your kids and talk about what you feel about this or how you want to like proceed about that. And it's not gonna happen like right away. It's gonna happen gradually, but like over time, if that's like how you're going about the situation.
Khadija, you heard Lemuel. Any thoughts from you? Khadija, do we have you online?
Yeah, sorry.
Great. Okay. No, I was just saying, like, any thoughts from your end?
Yeah, like having the conversation at a young age or any age, honestly, just bring it up once in a while. Like you brought it up today. Like any girls you find interested, like just sometimes in a joking way,
Yeah.
they can get comfortable trying to be like, okay, he asked me this one time. Let's wait to see if he asked me again, or let's just. The more you ask, they'll be like, okay, so maybe he's interested in hearing what I have to say. So that's like a way of building a relationship as well with the kids. So asking in a joking way, not getting hurt if they tell you like, oh yeah, I saw this girl, like this guy I was talking to. Don't just like conclude like, oh, why are you talking to this person? Like, be more relaxed as a parent. Be understanding because if you show like you're hard or like you're like gonna get upset, they're not gonna feel comfortable in wanting to talk to you. Or if you feel like you know it all, because you can know everything, but kids are still gonna be like, my mom just thinks she know it, but she not know it. Like
Yeah, exactly.
as long as if you don't have that conversation with them, they won't understand you because like parents are also learning, kids are also learning. So if it's better for you guys to all learn together than to just make that conclusion or just put that face shirt, like your face will be so sour, your child don't even want to come talk to you. Just be more relaxed. Smile. It's a smile is a blessing. My mom always tell me smile is an act of is a blessing.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I mean, I say you guys are lucky. To be honest with you guys, that we're in a day and age that we are learning all of this. Because up to the time I was in Canada, up to the time I was a man living on my own, I was still afraid to officially introduce my wife to my mother. Um, just to let you know, the monophobia, and that left. Even though I was a man living on my own, living in my own house and everything. So I'll say, let's be grateful that we are at a day and age that at least we're beginning to see more and more. We're not there yet. Even here, we're not there yet, but at least having these conversations. That's why I thought this relationship conversation, I think we'll take a whole show on it the next time. So you guys can prepare yourself to really think about it. And some of you, your parents are watching, and I've told your parents, anything you say on this show cannot be used against you in the court of the house. Huh? They can go home and start saying, oh, I think you thought on the show that, no. Anything here is barred. It's in the safety and confines of our show, and it is opinions being expressed, and those opinions cannot be used in the court of the house. If something happening at the house, you parents, you won't get vexed. Focus on the issue that happened there. Can't take our panelists then say here and carry or else then the same things they are advising you on, you'll be undercutting it, where they are getting more bold to talk about things. Now you want to start using it. I'm trying to hold myself on it because I've been guilty of it as a parent, where sometimes you get angry about something and you drag something else inside that it was an opportunity that your child opened up to you. Now you're using it against them. So the next time that you come back and say, oh, be open, talk to me. They're like, yeah, you're right. So you can use it on me tomorrow if something actually goes wrong or so. But as you can see, we are all humans, so it's hard for a parent to not do that. But
And there was a point you made about your parents finding out. It's worse when they find out through other people.
That stuff
It's so I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, that stuff is I can manage myself.
Hard way.
Yeah, I can manage myself if you tell me. Even if I get angry, and this is why I always tell people about truth telling with your parents, right? It doesn't mean it will get you off the hook all the time. No, it doesn't mean it will stop them from punishing you because you said their truth. But what I said is that it will make you sleep in peace, knowing that nothing else is coming up. And you know, what you're dealing with is what you're actually dealing with. But think about it. When you tell your parents something and it's not the truth, you go to bed. You're worried because then they start digging, right? They're calling people here. They are finding things. So you're on the edge constantly now. What if, you know, they found this out? Or what if they found that out? But if you say the truth, the damage is done. I've said the truth. I go to bed, I sleep because I know there's nothing else there for you to find out. What I've said is what I've said, is what happened. And even if you talk to 500 people out there, you will end up with the same conclusion that is exactly what happened. So I always encourage truth telling. And most of the time, parents sometimes cut a slack when the truth is actually said. Because I think it's the first step, I call it, to reconciliation. So cut a slack, but that doesn't mean sometimes you did something very horrible just because you said the truth. It doesn't mean it will actually get you off the hook. But I want to get to our last segment here, and I want to end on the same relationship note about the point you made about friends, right? We cannot deny it. I think the greatest influence on young people is their friends. Is the greatest influence. And that's why when you talk earlier on about who you surround yourself with. And you know, I myself used to think this. We all have this naive thought that, oh yeah, I don't have to be, I will not be like them. I will just hang out with them. There is a scientific research called the law of relationship, where it says the longer you stay around someone, things of them automatically start to become part of you without you even knowing. It's subconscious. Because when you're close to someone, you make yourself vulnerable to them because you are close to them. You have deep conversations with them to the point where they start to even learn your psyche. They know what can make you tick and what cannot make you tick. So you gave them so much power over time that they can convince you to do things. So that's such an important point. How can young people, Khadija, in your experience, start to think carefully and think smart and be strategic? So you see me, I used to hang out with all sides. The bad guys or whatever that is. It's not, I can't go say, oh, I can talk to them, I'll keep myself away. But I used to be strategic. What is the extent of my engagement with them? So when we're in public spaces, on campus or whatever, yeah, what's up? Let me give you a testimony today so you guys can hear. When I was in university, the issue of drugs and weed was rampant at university. Every time we used to have a house party, when we go, there used to be a whole circle, the guys would sit and be sharing this stuff around. So because I didn't want to participate, right? Because I didn't want to be involved in it, I had one of my prescription bottles. I used to always edit the date on it. And I would just put Tylenol in it, in the bottle, and always have it in my pocket. So to this day, there are friends of mine who know that I'm on constant medication. They think I have to take my medication every 6 to 8 hours because that's how I would fake it. I would put the Tylenol in a bottle. I would take it with me. And when they catch me, I let them know, like, guys, one of the things that would trigger, the medication for me is that. So that's the reason why I can take it. I didn't make it to look like, oh, you guys smoke. I don't smoke. You guys take weed. I don't take weed. But because I didn't want to take it, I have my bottle every time I show it. So it was very convincing. And then I'll wait, especially if the party goes on for the full 6 hours. I'll actually make sure somebody see me taking the pills. And, but it's just Tylenol. And, it's not anything that will. So that was my way of navigating that space with the peer pressure that there was. So for you, Khadija, before I go back to Olemio, maybe let me start with you, Lemio. The issue with friends, how you choose friends, who gets close, who doesn't get close. Adults, nobody should lie to you, adults are still learning it. Even adults are still making horrible mistakes about it. And there's no magic wine about it. It's about finding out who people are sometimes after they become your friends, and then you discover really who they are. How do you think about it? Like, how do you build your network? Who the friends you are? Do you have any ways that you go about it for who become your friends, who gets close, or is everybody who just want to be your friend? Because some people do that too. Anybody who said they want to be a friend, you bring them in. Doesn't matter. You don't have any strategic way of gauging who do I want to spend a lot of time with versus who, I know you, your acquaintance is great. How do you think about it, especially at your stage that you are now? Because Khadija is at a different stage, you're at a different stage. So at your stage in life, how do you think about this?
I don't know, I look at how somebody goes about life. I can't be friends with somebody who constantly disrespects me or do this or do that, and I can't be friends with somebody who constantly disrespect other people or do like just like it depends on if their values like align with mine. Like
Khadija, any thoughts?
Um, yeah. So my mom always tells me, "Show me your friend, and I will tell you who you are." So I have that mindset in my head. So I don't like to. Mind you, I'm very social. Like I talk to everyone, but when it comes to telling my important business, even some of my friends, I don't really tell them things because you never truly know anybody, no matter how long you've been friends with them. So I try to keep like my friends very limited in a way, especially close friends, very limited. I tell them things. I've been friends with the same people since I was in elementary, high school. So those friends, like I always show them to my parents because parents always know, and based on how they surround themselves or how they behave amongst with my parents or my family members, I would just know like if you're a bad influence, you're not if you're a good influence, and based on the things you're doing, like you mentioned about the whole pills thing and smoking. I have friends that also do some of those things, but every time it comes around to that, I'd be like, I made a promise to my mom that I would
Yeah, I
never
can't
ever
break
do
it.
this. I always tell them, I was like, I made a promise to my mom I would never do this. So it's something that I've been saying since I was younger, since like we're in elementary school and then went into high school, even when like high school parties, they're like, Khadijah here. And I'm like, I made a promise to my mom I would never do this. So I always tell them like it's a promise, and I'm not the type of person to break promise, even though I never made a promise to my mom.
Yeah,
But it was a way of
yeah,
showing to them like
yeah. And that's your
resilience. Like
coping
I don't want to do
mechanism.
that.
And that was your
Yeah,
coping
like
mechanism. That was your way of getting around it. Yeah.
yeah, it was like a way where it's like even at some point when we go to parties, some other people will be like, Khadijah here. And my friends would be like, nope, she made a promise to her mom.
Yeah,
So
she's
it
not
was
gonna do
like
it.
they all knew it. They all knew it. Like Khadijah, she made a promise to her mom, and she doesn't want to break that promise and all of that. So finding I feel like you'll find a good friend. If you find a good friend, you will know based on the way you and the person interact, the trust will be there. Building a trust is very hard. Building trust with someone. Also, one thing is setting boundaries. You got to make sure you set boundaries with your friends because not everything you can accept, and being open with your friends as well. Because if you don't tell them things, if you don't tell people things, they're not really gonna know. So if your friend does something to you, like, hey, like you did this, I didn't like it. We went to a party, you did this, you did that, I didn't like it. Being honest with them as well also is a good thing. Based on how they'll react, will really show you who they are.
Yeah. All right. So next week we'll be looking at identity. What does it mean to be African? What does it mean to be black? What does it mean to be Liberian? What does it mean to be in a place where there's no real sense of value? So join us next week. However, I have a question to ask you guys openly. I wanted to do this openly because I wanted everybody to hear me asking you guys it for the first time. There's an election going on in London right now. And I was considering, should we invite all those participating in the elections on our show next week? The candidates running, and, the Elections Commission. Because I think one of the things that's happening also for me, the disconnect with our young people from these processes, and then they hear about it, right, in different ways, or they hear snippets and bits and pieces. But to be fair to everybody, I didn't want to bring one person and don't bring the other. So I was thinking I'd like to hear both of your thoughts on this before you give your closing comments. What do you think? Should we extend the invitation to everybody, and to join our youth panel talk show so that our young people can get an opportunity to ask them some questions and, to see where they can express their thoughts as to why they want to be in leadership positions or so. Khadija, I will start with you. What do you think?
I think it's a beautiful idea because
And can you
I'm
make this
in
clear that I'm just asking these guys this question the first time publicly because I wanted to make sure I
Yeah,
asked
this
this
is the
question
first
openly.
time.
Yeah.
This is the first time this question has been brought up. But I think it's a beautiful idea because I'm also in the group chat with where the candidates are in. So I see everything that's going on. I'm reading everything that's going on. So I think it's a good idea because they don't really talk much about what they're gonna bring for the youth. What
And
they're
that's
gonna bring
my
to the table
whole
for the youth.
point. That's my whole point about it. Exactly.
So I need to hear what they're gonna bring for us because
Yeah.
the youth need things.
Yeah.
We need
And-
things and we need
and-
them to help us.
And even just in general, what they're going to do for the community, right? The youth piece is one, but just in general, let the debate be about ideas, right?
Yes.
And plans, because then we get to know, okay, who's thinking. But it's also a good modeling for young people that when you're running for leadership, think it through. And what do you want to do? See people do it. So I agree with you. So I guess I'm getting a vote of yes from you.
Yes, I need to see the
Yeah.
plans, and I have to make sure they implement those plans.
Yep. So what I would do, I would draft the invitation. We will send it out to all the people in London, all the people who are running, or even the election commission as well, to just hear what has gone into the organizing and planning of this. Let me know, what are your thoughts about this?
I think it would be a good idea and experience to have them come on.
So I got a 2 for 2 here. I will put it in our chat as well and get the other people vote, just to make sure everybody in our chat gets a chance to vote on it, and then we can be able to actually share it with everyone. So, final words and final thoughts. I will start with you as we wrap up today. What are your final thoughts, your parting words and comments for today for those watching? And I'll read some of the comments. Those who made some comments, I'll read a few of the comments before we close. But go ahead, let me know.
Keep an open mind with your kids, and for kids, keep an open mind with your parents, and try and be more understanding with each other.
Okay, those are the parting words. Keep an open mind with your kids' parents, and parents, kids, keep an open mind with your parents' kids, right? Both sides, two-way street, and try to be more understanding
Of each other. Lemuel tells you the things, he doesn't tell you the how. He say you should go and figure out the how, because he thinks you just say them, but he doesn't get into the how you're going to do it. So I will not push any further. Khadija, what are your parting comments for our viewers today?
Mine is, kids, you got to understand your parents are also growing, and you have to be very, very mindful of what you say to them. But parents also, you got to be mindful of what you say to your kids, because you want your kids to be honest with you. So you don't want to show that angry face every time they come tell you things. So be more relaxed. Open that, like Lemia was saying. I agree everything Lemia was saying. Be more open-minded with your kids. Have conversations with them. Once in a while, you guys go out, take them out, or sometimes kids take your parents out, they're waiting to see if the initiative is there, so you guys can all have that conversation. So just be open-minded.
That's my favorite part. Don't always come to us for money. The day you get some money too, take us out too. We
Right.
can enjoy your money too. Take us out. It doesn't matter. It can be to where you can afford. Doesn't matter where. It's not
Yeah.
about the where. It's about the gesture. We can take you out. We like going out too. So please take us out. Francis Inan is watching from London. He said, "Thank you so much for educating our youth and young adults." Ambassador Aminat Mahmoud is watching also from London. He said, "Great job, guys." My own brother here, Mr. Holder, all the way from Liberia, is watching. He said, "Great move." Zoe Alice is also watching. She said, "Great job, guys." Adam Nuon is watching also from Vancouver. Mr. Kroma, Famo Kroma, who's the president for Windsor and Essex County, if the Liberian community is watching also, he says, "Great initiative." We want to thank all of you guys for these great comments. So, Khadija, since you're in London, I will put a vote in the chat first. If they agree, then we'll draft the invitation for everybody. Your thing is just to get it to them. They can let us know. Again, it's open-ended. If they agree, they can come on. If they don't agree, that's also okay. But at least everybody can know that they were giving, an opportunity to come. Because I know what will happen if we bring one person, we don't bring the other. They'll be like, "Oh, okay, you guys favor one person over the other." So I don't want that. Exactly. So we send it to everybody, and it'd be better when everybody comes on the same time, because then you can contrast it. And, you can hear the contrasting views on questions or ideas that are coming up. So I know for sure that's right. Patrick, Francis, Alice. I know Kekula Doma is the the election commission chairperson also. So we send an invitation to everybody. Anybody who honors it, they will be welcome. If everybody honors it, it will even be better to have everybody. So I hope that everybody can honor it, so we can have a very robust engagement and conversation to actually hear
I'm
people.
excited. I'm like, even though it's not approved, I'm excited. I want to hear what they have to say.
Exactly, because that's what it should be when you're running for leadership. What are you going to do? How different is the community going to be if you have the opportunity to serve as a leader? Because then accountability can be easy. Because tomorrow we can just ask you, you say you're going to do this thing, or where are we on it? So we can
have it on video.
Exactly. We can come back and watch this identical episode and say, "Here's what you said." And guess what? If you fail, then we can comfortably say you failed. And, because we can look at what you said, and at the end of your term, we can be like, "Sorry, we said at your fault, but you failed." Because what you committed to, you never actually did it.
You didn't really pursue what you said.
Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on another Saturday. Khadija, thank you for joining. You wanted to say something, Khadija? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a good weekend.
Yeah, and thank you for watching, everybody. Let me thank you for joining us, and thanks to Dave Tivador as well from our tech side here, who helps us get up running and keep us going. Thank you, everybody watching in Facebook land, whichever land you're, YouTube land, wherever you're watching from. We will be here next Saturday, hopefully with a debate and presidential candidates and other people running for other offices from London. If not all of them, hopefully some of them, but we're hoping that all of them can accept the invitation to join us. Have a good Saturday. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.